Hello and welcome to Andrew's Art Duchy. Today I find myself on vacation with my family in beautiful Rangeley, Maine, a region known for its lakes and bountiful woodland. And I thought, what better way to mark the occasion than to try and capture all of this natural beauty in the form of a cake, particularly a Black Forest cake. Now that is a chocolate layer cake lathered in a delectable cherry liqueur and coated in an amazing whipped cream frosting. As usual, I've never done this before, so I'm not sure how it's going to go. But that's part of the fun, right? Anyway, let's get started. First up, I'm going to be whipping together a batter for 3 layers of chocolate cake. These are the ingredients, along with the portion sizes I'll be using. I'll also throw these in the description below. So I'm an amateur baker, but what I have learned is that laying all my ingredients out before I get started is going to save me time and a headache. Prepping the pans in advance is also a great idea. To start, I'm going to be separating the egg yolks from the egg whites, and I did a really crappy job. If I can get these whites to rise, they're going to help give my cake some height. As I begin to whisk, I want to start gradually adding in the sugar. And after that, a dash of vinegar. So it's at this point that I realized not separating those eggs properly was a big mistake. But I kept whisking and whisking some more. Thankfully, my family offered to help, and we all did our best to save this thing, with one notable exception. While they helped me out with that, I'm going to get started on the dry ingredients, adding some flour and some cocoa powder into a sift, as well as some confectioner sugar. And I'm going to sift everything together, making sure there are no lumps and that everything is nicely combined. To this I'll add a cup of coffee, the vegetable oil, along with the egg yolks. Gently folding everything together until the mixture becomes smooth and creamy. This is about the consistency I'm looking for, and you do want to be careful not to overmix. Now back to those egg whites from earlier, I'm going to give them one final vigorous whisk before adding them 1/2 at a time into the mixture. You see, time is of the essence here. I need these whites to be as foamy as possible for maximum impact. This is especially true since I didn't get them to actually rise properly. I want to make sure I get every last drop. So I'll quickly incorporate all of this together before I divvy it up between the 3 pans. I'll then pop these in the oven at 350 degrees for about a ½ hour. Now it's time to get started on the delicious cherry liqueur filling. Now you've got a lot of options when it comes to types of cherries for this cake. The best ones you can find are the tart cherries. The local grocery store didn't have any, but I did pick up these sweet black cherries and I think they'll do okay. Just try and avoid getting these ones, the maraschino cherries. They don't have any flavor and they're more for garnishing than anything. Here's my ingredient breakdown for what's going into today's cherry filling. To kick things off, I'll place a medium-sized pot over a low heat. To this, I'm going to be adding a cup of sugar, along with a cup of water. And for an additional kick, I'll throw in some cinnamon sticks, stirring everything until nicely dissolved. Next, I'm going to be pouring the 2 cans of sweet black cherries into a strainer over a bowl, capturing all that delicious cherry juice in the process. I'll set the juice aside and get to chopping the cherries. I'm going to try to cut these into quarters, halves, as long as they're roughly the same size. Now for the liqueur, I have chosen to go with rum for this, and I'm adding it to a bit of confectioner's sugar with a dash of that cherry juice. Giving this all a good whisk until I'm ready to add it into the pot. Turn up the heat and get a nice simmer going. Oh snap, cakes are ready. I'm going to put these on top of the oven for about 5 minutes before getting them out of the pans to cool. Okay, back to it. I'm going to finish this off by adding in my black cherries and whisk them in gently. At which point I'm going to add in the cup of confectioner sugar. I'm going to bring this to a boil, continually stirring for about 2 minutes, at which point it is done. Okay, so now I've got my cakes ready, my cherry filling, and it's time to move on to the delectable whipped cream frosting, which should be interesting since I had such a hard time whipping up the egg whites. I could potentially be whipping for the next hour or so, but I'm ready. I was definitely not ready. You see, I wasn't ready because I forgot to buy cream cheese, and that is an integral part of this recipe. I started adding the whipping cream, but then I tried to substitute the cream cheese with brie. This would be another big mistake. Everything was going well. I added the vanilla, the cherry juice. I guess I just really like to hope for the best with things, but this was just not going to come together, and this is what I ended up with. I take full responsibility for this disgusting, nasty mess of a frosting. I wouldn't serve it to my worst enemy. An emergency trip to the grocery store was made, the cream cheese was acquired, and the next batch came out absolutely lovely. Crisis averted, it's time to get about frosting the cake. Using a piping bag, I'm going to apply a dam of whipped cream around the perimeter of each cake layer. Loading up the inside with cherries, as well as an additional smaller ring of cream so that you get more with each bite. There's something about stacking the layers that I always find so soothing, and even though this cake didn't get the height I wanted, it's still going to taste great. Especially with all this delicious cherry liqueur soaking into the top and the sides. By the way, whipped cream frosting can be a bit tricky, so don't be afraid to pop it in and out of the fridge for stability. To finish it off, I'm going to go in with my offset spatula. It's always my go-to for finishing a cake, and just smooth away until I get a finish that I am happy with. So this is looking pretty good already, but Black Forest cakes tend to be finished off with some sort of chocolate decor. So surprise, as a final flourish, I'm going to be adding on some foresty branches made from chocolate. And I learned how to do these in another YouTube video, which I will link in the description below. I did this the previous night, and I started by melting a bar of semisweet chocolate, piped the shape into a really cold sugar water solution, and briefly submerged it. I'm definitely trying to learn how to elevate my cakes, and this was a really fun way to just give it a little bit of character. It gives it just a bit of a wow factor that would otherwise be lacking. Even cooler, the house I'm staying at has a cake stand made out of wood. Using an onion peeler, I'm going to take that last bar of semi-sweet chocolate and get some shavings before sprinkling them all over the cake. So this cake may have been challenging for me, but I was grateful for the opportunity to learn new techniques. Again, I had a lot of fun making the chocolate branches. I actually put a lot more onto the sides of the cake, and I recommend you give them a try. They not only look good, but they also taste incredible. But now, it's time to get in here and find out how all these different components taste together. Not the easiest cake to serve. Apparently filming for an entire morning makes me completely forget how to cut cake. In any case, here is the moment of truth. Pretty good, actually.
Yeah?
Oh my god, this is good. Ooh. This is very good.
So I'm fairly certain that everybody enjoyed it.
Wow.
Or at least pretended to. And frankly, that's what family's for, right?
It's good.
I made this from scratch.
Thank you so much for watching another episode of Andrew's Art Duchy and joining me as I made and enjoyed this Black Forest cake with my family here in beautiful Rangeley, Maine. It tasted amazing. It could have looked a little bit better, but it was a lot of fun making it, and I look forward to making it again someday, and it'll be even better. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like or subscribe, or you can check out my Patreon, and there's a link in the description below. So until next time, bye-bye.